St. Petersburg, Russia, June 30th, 1994. A 27-year-old programmer sits in a small office at a trading company called AO Saturn, surrounded by cold coffee and the hum of a dial-up modem. He is not in New York. He has never been to New York. He does not own a gun, employ a getaway driver, or have any contact with the inside of a bank. What he has is a laptop, a phone line, and a list of account numbers and passwords he purchased from an anonymous hacker for $100. Within 5 months, using nothing but that dial-up connection, Vladimir Levin will transfer $10.7 million out of Citibank, the largest bank in the United States, into accounts scattered across Finland, Israel, Germany, the Netherlands, and San Francisco. He will log in 18 times. He will make 40 separate wire transfers, and he will do it all from a chair in St. Petersburg, while Citibank's security team has no idea any of it is happening. The FBI will catch him. But not by tracing his computer, not by breaking his encryption. They will catch him by engineering a trap so psychologically precise that Levin walks directly into it himself. And when they finally arrest him, the case that follows will expose something nobody at Citibank wants to admit. The most sophisticated bank in the world left its entire cash management system completely unencrypted on a dial-up phone line. No firewall, no verification, no second layer of security, just a username, a password, and a wire transfer button. The door was wide open. Vladimir Levin just happened to be the first one to walk through it. How does a programmer in Russia rob the largest bank in America with a $100 investment? And how do you arrest someone whose own government's constitution prevents you from touching them? St. Petersburg, Russia, early 1994. Vladimir Levin is not the genius the newspapers will make him out to be. The media loves the story of a solitary mathematical prodigy cracking bank codes from a dingy apartment. The reality is more interesting and more unsettling. Levin has a degree from the St. Petersburg State Institute of Technology in biochemistry and mathematics, and works as a systems administrator at AO Saturn, a small trading company. He's young, quiet, and capable, but he doesn't find the vulnerability at Citibank himself. 2 hackers in St. Petersburg, never publicly identified, known in the underground only by the alias Buckazoid, had already cracked Citibank's cash management system months before Levin knew it existed. They found something remarkable. Citibank had built a dial-up service called Financial Institutions Citibank Cash Manager, a system that allowed large corporate clients to initiate their own wire transfers by phone line. It was designed for convenience, and it was protected by nothing more than a username and a password, no encryption, no callback verification, no secondary authentication, just a code and a PIN standing between anyone with a modem and the accounts of some of the world's largest corporations. Buckazoid found this, explored it, then got nervous. The numbers inside those accounts were enormous. Moving that kind of money would attract attention they didn't want, so they sold what they knew. Vladimir Levin paid $100 for the full instructions, which numbers to dial, which usernames to use, which accounts were vulnerable, which passwords opened them. $100 for the keys to $10.7 million. Levin looks at what he's bought, studies it carefully, then picks up the phone. Citibank Cash Management System, June to October, 1994. Citibank's cash management system was built for major corporate clients, companies that moved large sums regularly. Payroll, international contracts, supplier payments. The accounts Levin targets belong to corporations in Argentina, the Bahamas, and Indonesia. Big accounts. The kind where a transfer of $300,000 doesn't immediately stand out as unusual. Levin is meticulous. He doesn't move everything at once. He spaces the transfers, keeps the amounts within ranges that mimic normal corporate activity. His first transfers route money to accounts in Finland he controls, then to accounts his accomplices control in the Netherlands, Germany, Israel, and San Francisco, where a couple named Yevgeny and Yekaterina Korlakova are waiting to receive funds and make withdrawals. Over 5 months, Levin logs into the Citibank system 18 separate times. He initiates approximately 40 wire transfers. Individual amounts range from $26,800 to $304,000. Total moved, $10.7 million. He does it from the same office chair, the same dial-up connection, the same small room at AO Saturn. In New York, Citibank has no idea. Until July 1994, when 2 corporate clients called to report suspicious transactions totaling nearly $522,000 that nobody authorized. Citibank calls the FBI. And here is where the story shifts, because Citibank and the FBI make a decision that is either brilliant or reckless, depending on how you look at it. They don't shut the system down. They don't freeze the accounts. They don't warn the other corporate clients whose money is sitting in the same vulnerable system. They let Levin keep going. If they shut it down now, they have a crime but no criminal. If they let it run, they can watch where the money goes, track every account it lands in, build a map of the entire operation before making a single arrest. The transfers keep coming, the FBI keeps watching, and the clock keeps running on $10.7 million of other people's money. What does Levin do when his accomplices start getting arrested? And how do you catch a man whose own government won't hand him over? San Francisco, Tel Aviv, Rotterdam, late 1994, October 1994. Citibank has seen enough. They shut the system down. The transfers stop. The FBI moves simultaneously on Levin's accomplice network. Yevgeny and Yekaterina Korlakova are arrested in San Francisco attempting to withdraw funds. Other accomplices are picked up in Tel Aviv and Rotterdam. 6 arrests total across 4 countries. The international network Levin built to receive and withdraw the stolen money is dismantled in a single coordinated sweep. Under FBI questioning, the Korlakovas confirm what investigators already suspect. They were following instructions from a man in St. Petersburg, a programmer, AO Saturn, the man who engineered everything, Vladimir Levin. The FBI knows exactly who they're looking for. They know where he works, where he lives. They have his full name, his address, the modest apartment on Svetlanovsky Prospect, where he still lives with his parents, apparently unaware his entire operation has just collapsed. But there is a problem that no warrant can solve. Russia's constitution explicitly prohibits the extradition of Russian citizens to foreign countries. The FBI can identify Levin, document his crimes, build an airtight case, and they cannot touch him as long as he stays inside Russia. He is legally untouchable, protected by geography and a single constitutional clause. Levin goes to work at AO Saturn every morning. The FBI watches from thousands of miles away. There is only one way to get him. They have to make him leave. St. Petersburg to Stansted Airport, London, March 3rd, 1995. The FBI's strategy is not technical, it is psychological. Working through arrested accomplices, investigators arrange for Levin to receive a series of phone calls. His former partners, now cooperating with the FBI, contact him with increasingly urgent warnings. You're about to be caught. The Russian authorities know everything. Your name is already in the files. It's only a matter of time. Simultaneously, members of organized crime begin approaching Levin directly. They've learned what he did. They want to share. The pressure compounds. Legal threat from one direction, criminal threat from another. A man with $400,000, still unaccounted for, and nowhere safe to put it. Levin makes the decision the FBI is counting on. He decides to run. His destination is London. His mother has a contact there, someone he can stay with while things settle down. He books a flight from Moscow. In his mind, the UK is safety, distance from Russia, distance from his problems, a place to disappear. On March 3rd, 1995, Vladimir Levin's plane lands at Stansted Airport. He steps off the jetway, and British authorities are waiting at the gate. He is arrested before he clears customs. The FBI didn't chase Levin around the world. They didn't crack his encryption or trace his connections back through the dial-up relays. They sat still and engineered exactly the circumstances that would make him walk out of Russia himself. And it worked perfectly. But Levin isn't going to the United States easily. And the legal battle waiting on the other side of extradition is going to raise questions nobody at Citibank is prepared to answer publicly. London and New York, 1995 to 1998. Levin fights extradition for 2 years. His legal team argues jurisdictional questions, Russian citizenship protections, the fairness of a U.S. trial for crimes committed on Russian soil. The British courts work through the appeals methodically. Levin sits in custody while lawyers file motions, and Citibank quietly upgrades its entire security infrastructure. September 1997. The extradition is approved. Levin is transferred to U.S. custody and flown to New York. January 1998. He pleads guilty, not to stealing $10.7 million. His plea covers 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud and admits to transferring $3.7 million, less than a third of the total, a negotiated number. February 1998, sentencing, 3 years in federal prison, restitution of $240,000. For the first major international cybercrime case in history, a man who used a dial-up modem to transfer $10.7 million out of the largest bank in America. The sentence is 3 years, less time than many people serve for drug possession. Citibank tells reporters it recovered all but $400,000 of the stolen funds. Nobody asks publicly where that $400,000 went, and nobody publicly addresses the detail that will surface years later. Vladimir Levin did not find the vulnerability at Citibank. 2 anonymous hackers found it first, then sold the access to Levin for $100. Those hackers, Buckazoid and his partner, were never identified, never charged, never found. The man the world credited as the architect of the first internet bank robbery may have simply been the person who bought the blueprint. The real architects? Still unknown. Global banking, 1998 and beyond. Vladimir Levin served his 3 years and returned to Russia. He has given no public interviews. He does not maintain a public profile. The man who became the face of the first major cyberbank heist disappeared back into private life as quietly as he had once dialed into Citibank's cash management system. The impact did not disappear with him. Citibank rebuilt its entire security architecture from the ground up. Encrypted systems, multi-factor authentication, dedicated secure lines for corporate clients. What Levin, or more precisely, what Buckazoid, exposed was not a flaw in Citibank specifically. It was a flaw in the assumption that connecting financial systems to telephone networks without encryption was an acceptable risk. In 1994, banks were racing to digitize, moving fast, prioritizing convenience over the security implications of putting wire transfer capabilities on a dial-up line. The The $10.7 million was almost entirely recovered. The systems were patched. But the question Levin's case introduced, how do you enforce laws against crimes that cross borders and originate from countries that won't cooperate? That question didn't get a tidy answer. It got messier every year because the criminals kept moving faster than the legal frameworks designed to catch them. 3 years in prison, $240,000 in restitution for the crime that proved the global banking system was sitting on an open dial-up line. And somewhere in St. Petersburg, 2 hackers who actually found the hole collected their $100 and were never heard from again. Levin robbed Citibank with a $100 investment and served 3 years. But in 2003, another hacker found a different kind of open door, not in a bank, but in the FBI itself. He was 15 years old. He broke into NASA and the Pentagon, shut down systems for 3 weeks, and caused $41,000 in damage. He became the first juvenile ever imprisoned for cybercrime. And then, years later, when he was accused of a crime he swore he didn't commit, he made a decision nobody could take back. That story, next time on Covert Case Histories.